There was this man named Jim. Now, Jim grew up in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina. And he said he was the oldest of five brothers and sisters. And they lived in this older home situated in the middle of the woods, surrounded by the mountains. Now, he said this one particular night, his father put him in charge of watching his brothers and sisters. And so his father left, and several hours had passed. Him and his brothers and sisters, they were playing a game of tag, running around the house, when all of a sudden they hear the doorbell ring. So they all go up to the front door. They look out the window. There's nobody out there. So they're like, who was that? So they go back to playing. And after about 15-20 minutes, once again, they hear the doorbell. They go and look out the window. There's no one there. So they go back to playing again, and once again, the doorbell rings. So this time, Jim goes to the door, and he opens it, and he goes, "Quit playing around." He looks out there, and there is like absolutely no one. And he said he just remembered, like all of a sudden, this very bad stench just poured into the house, and he said it almost made him gag. And he thought, that's really weird, like there's no one there. So he closes the door, and they all go into the living room. Well, his brother goes into the kitchen and is in there for about 5 minutes when all of a sudden he comes running out, screaming, crying, and he runs right into his bedroom and jumps on the bed. So Jim goes to check on him and see what's wrong. And when he gets in his brother's room, he can see that like he's very frantic and just, upset by something. So Jim sits down on his bed and is like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, why are you crying?" And he couldn't get his little brother to talk about like what was going on. He said finally his brother, after about 5-10 minutes, says, "I was in the kitchen and I looked out the window. There was this big, tall, hairy monster, and it was waving at me to come outside." And right as he's telling him that story, Jim said he looked out his brother's window and he sees the shadow of something very large just move. And so he tells his brother, like, get out of the room, and he gets his brothers and sisters and he puts them all into the parents' room. He said right at that moment they could hear stuff like running around the house, and they could hear all this noise outside. And